everybody, it's Katy, art director at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dorchester. I hope everybody is doing well, and I'm excited to share that myself, along with some of the other program staff at BGCD, have been working over the last week or so to provide you guys with some virtual programming that you can access over the next few weeks. It's important to remember that we are a community here at BGCD, and we're here to help you guys get through this. Throughout the next week, we're all gonna feature programming surrounding the theme of community, because community means everything in times like these. Community means people who live in the same area or a group of people who share common interests. For example, all of us here at Boys and Girls Clubs of Dorchester. Today, we're going to create a piece of art that represents how communities come together to help one another in times of need. Symbols of community in art could be anything from people holding hands, linked figures or people standing next to each other, the earth, buildings, and houses. I created a picture that shows people surrounding our planet holding hands in hearts with a rainbow in the background. The rainbow symbolizes hope. I also included a message of support, get well soon. It's time for you to create your own art. Feel free to follow along with the steps I took, or use your imagination to include your own unique details in your art. Don't worry if you don't have all these materials at home right now. You should be able to create something really cool with the materials that you have available. The materials you're going to need for this project include paper. You can use white computer paper. If you don't have white computer paper at home, colored construction paper will work as well. If you don't have access to any paper at home, you can use cardboard from a delivery or a cereal box. Anything will really work as long as you have a surface that you can create art on. You also want something to put under the paper you're working on. So, for example, a piece of newspaper or an old piece of paper that's a little bit bigger than the paper you're working on, just because you don't want to make a mess of the surface that you're working on. I'm just using a larger piece of paper because that's what I have at home. We're also going to need markers. Just magic markers. I'm using a Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can also use just a black pen or a blue pen. We're going to use probably a pencil if you have a pencil at home. Colored pencils or crayons, whichever works. A cup of water and a paintbrush. And if you don't have a paintbrush at home, you can also use a Q-tip. So what we're going to do to start is find an object that you can trace that's a circle, if you want to create the earth. I'm using my paint palette. If you don't have a paint palette, which you probably don't, you can use a cereal bowl or a small plate, and you're just going to draw a circle on your paper. Once you're done drawing a circle, you can start to draw what you want around your planet. I'm going to draw people. So I'm starting by drawing a circle for the head and a triangle for the body. And in between each person, I'm going to draw a heart. You can also draw different shapes for your body, so it looks like your people are wearing different clothes. Some might be wearing dresses, some might be wearing a shirt and pants. Feel free to get creative with this part. You don't have to draw people, you can draw other symbols. And I didn't go all the way down to the bottom because I'm leaving a little bit of space to write a saying or a quote. So once I finish with my people in hearts around my earth, I'm going to draw my countries, my continents rather. Clearly geography is not my forte. Remember that this is art, so it doesn't have to be geographically correct, and you can draw whatever shapes you want to fill in your planet. This is just a representation. Once I'm done adding my continents, I'm going to add my quote at the bottom of the page. So I wrote the quote, "Get well soon," because I wanted to include a message of hope to everyone on our planet. But if you want to include a different quote, you can. So now that I have these pictures drawn on my paper, I'm going to go in with my Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can use a black pen, but you don't want to use a black regular magic marker because we're actually going to add some water onto this. And if you wet magic marker, which you will see in a little while, it actually turns into almost like a watercolor paint. So you want to use something permanent to do your words. If you don't have anything permanent like a pen or a Sharpie, wait until the end after your picture is dry and you can go back over it with a dark crayon or a dark colored pencil. Perfect. Now that I'm done with my letters, I'm going to go in with my markers. I'm going to teach you guys a really cool technique called the magic marker watercolor technique. And all you do is you outline your shape with your marker. I like to hold it on its side so it gives it a thicker line. And once you're done outlining it, you take a paintbrush and a little bit of water. And like I said earlier, if you don't have a paintbrush, you can use a Q-tip. And if you don't have a Q-tip, you can probably just use your fingertip. And you just paint over the line that you just drew and you drag it into the center of your shape, and it actually turns that marker line into watercolor, which is really cool because not everybody keeps paint at home all the time. So this is a way for you to paint using just markers. It also has a really cool texture when it dries. You can layer colors and blend colors as well. So you can go ahead and outline your shapes that you want to paint in. So I'm outlining all my continents, the outside of my earth, and keep in mind what colors you want to use. I'm using green for my continents, and then I'm going to outline the globe in blue for water. And when you're done outlining everything, then you can go back with your paintbrush. I use this technique for my earth and for my hearts. And I'm going to color my people in solid with the marker. If you don't have markers at home, you can just color in your whole picture with crayons or colored pencils. Once you're finished with those details, you can go ahead and add a background. I'm going to use my colored pencils because they have a different texture than the markers. I'm going to add a rainbow, starting with my first rainbow color, which of course is red. And then I'm going to go in with orange, which is my next rainbow color. And then my yellow. And my green. You might come to a point where you have to kind of go around some of the things that you drew earlier, so just be careful that you're not coloring over them. Just take your time, go slow. Then I'm going to go in with some blue. And finally, we will use some violet. Now that my earth is a little bit dry, I'm going to go in with a little of my lighter green inside each continent. Just to give it some contrast. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of light pink in the rest of the white space on my paper. You can use whatever color you like. You can leave it white if you want to. And then I'm going to add my finishing touches, which are going to be a couple hearts down at the bottom in my empty space. And there you have it. I hope you guys will all stay well and you'll keep tuning in to our programming over the next few weeks. We have a lot of really fun things in store for you, and I can't wait to meet with you guys again. Don't forget to send in some pictures of your artwork once you're finished so that we can share it with everybody else at the club. See ya!